tonight. Here is Dr. Hill, and I am very excited that she's joining us today. And I can't wait to hear what she has to say, sharing her stories, and just bringing healing to this community and to everybody on in her group on Facebook. So I'll let you just start by sharing your story, please.
Yes. Okay. So, hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. It's so great to have everyone here. So, I'm Tracy, otherwise known as Samaya. That's another story. I can get into it if you'd like, but it's here nor
I'm
there.
very curious about that too.
Yeah. All right. So, I'm sure everyone here can relate because I know the MS type A personality, at least in the younger years. I was going to college full time. I was getting my master's degree in kinesiology. So I was like working with athletes, and I mean, I was really, really good at what I did and did extensive exercise testing on people. And I was running a human performance lab. I was teaching undergrad students. I was running the personal training program. I was doing all the things, right? And I was also a dancer in college. And about 22 years old, I fractured my spine, my L4, L5. It was pretty traumatic because I was exercising a ton, right? I was very, very active, always doing everything, getting great grades, just all the type A typical personality things. And then I was working in the lab, in the exercise lab, and I kept tripping, and there was nothing to trip on. So I started experiencing these symptoms. I was getting my whole left side would go numb, and I was like, I don't know what's happening. So in 2000, basically, I was diagnosed with MS. I had three different doctors kind of come to the conclusion that, yeah, it's MS. But I was also finishing my master's degree. I was running two marathons and a 24-hour adventure race, all within a month time frame. And I was like, um, no, I was in denial. So I had symptoms, but then I went on steroids because I didn't know what was happening and I still didn't even know what MS was. And I was like in denial. I was like, no, mm-mm. So I did the marathons, I did the 24-hour adventure, I did all the things, right? Graduated, and then all of a sudden I got hit again with symptoms. And then one doctor, and so I'm in Chicago, so it's not like, I have a plethora of hospitals to go to and doctors to go to, and one at Northwestern and at Rush Hospital, both notorietily, that's not even a word, but they're, the notoriety of those hospitals is, you know, top notch. And they said that if I don't take medication, I'll be in a wheelchair the rest of my life. And I was like, I hope I can do this, but no, you know what I mean? I was like, in my head, I was like, hell no, dude. Um, I did not like that answer. And even one doctor told me I was dating my ex-husband. We were just dating. And he's like, well, if you get pregnant, the symptoms will subside. I was like, I'm sorry, what? With my boyfriend at the time in the room. I was like, I looked at him, I'm like,
Almost
okay.
like giving him an ultimatum, like let's
Yeah,
do.
yeah. And he walked out of the room. He's like, well, you could get pregnant. And he walked out of the room. I was like, okay, anyways. I see Karen's face. Yeah, that's my face too, Karen. So I walked out of there and I was like, first I was confused. I was like, I don't even know what MS is. I have to figure this out.
This was
And
5 years ago, right?
it's 25 years ago. Yeah. Um, I continued to have symptoms and they got better, then it got worse. Like I kind of lost eyesight a little bit. I couldn't speak sometimes. And then I tried Copaxone, which is the once daily shot, and literally every day felt like I had the flu. And at that time, I had left University of Illinois, Chicago. That's where I was working, and I joined the Chicago Fire Department. So they wanted to put me on disability. And I was like, I am not disabled. You know what I mean? Like everyone keeps labeling me. So I had to make a really hard decision. And one day I had two dogs and I walked into this pet store to get the dog food. that you can't find in a regular pet store. And the girl behind the counter working there, I don't know how we got on the topic, but she's like, "Oh, I have MS." And I'm like, "Oh," I'm like, "Well, what do you do?" She's like, "Nothing. I just treat it naturally." I'm like, it was just like occurred to me, like, I can do that too, like, why can't I do that? And being an Aries and being very stubborn, I was like, I am not gonna let this take me down. There's no way. So, a year, I mean, literally a year of hours and hours and hours of research. This is when Google was completely open. So if any of you are like under 40, oh, I feel bad because you missed this great opportunity. And I wish I had printed stuff, but it was wide open. I found things that probably shouldn't have been found. And I'm sure they're scrubbed from the internet now, but I found things that I was like, holy crap. And I should mention too, I was in the army for 8 years. So I had all the shots because I went overseas and I read the book Vaccine A. And that was kind of like a huge eye-opening for me because it's a true story about basically biological warfare. And that was really the start of like, oh my God, I got all these shots for the military, and now all of that is in me. Plus, I had mono and I had chickenpox twice and all that stuff. So, it's like, and I was bit by a tick when I was 3, and it embedded itself in me for 3 days, and I had the fever and all that. Um, so it's like take all of this in one big pretty package and like, okay, so where do we start, right? But when I found all this stuff on Google, I was like, oh my God, they're like, someone's literally trying to poison us. So I took it upon myself to deep dive literally hours a day for a year until I understood what I was looking at. I mean, it's still, you can look at it from so many angles. But what I really understood was if you don't take your own health in your hands, no one else is going to do it for you. Like you really have to be your own advocate because like seeing all these doctors and all of them saying you have to go on medication, you have to go on medication. We don't know what causes it. We don't know. We don't have a cure. That tells me they know nothing about it and they still really don't know much about it. And I think it started the wheels turning like, oh my gosh, we're onto something here. I mean, back in 2001, I was still living with my parents and I was considering bee sting therapy. And that was like, I don't even think that's still heard of here, really. So I was into all this, like, I got to find a way, right? I have to find a way. But again, the resources really weren't there. I was kind of on an island because nobody else was talking about this stuff. And I didn't have anyone to like really share these ideas with. So I had to really figure it out myself. And so in all that, once I was, fully working for the fire department and my symptoms were subsided enough that I could still work, I started with breath work and I started with box breathing. And this was like box breathing. This was like no podcast. We didn't have podcasts yet. I don't even know where I heard this from, but podcasts weren't really a thing yet. And so I was listening to something in my car and they were talking about box breathing. So I just started it for a week and I noticed just like a minute a day, I noticed a week later that I was not responding as much. I was like, oh, wow, that really works. Oh my gosh. Then I got into emotional clearing, which is something I still do for people. And I kept that a secret for like 7 years. And I started out with hundreds of thousands of emotions to clear, and I'm still to this day down to zero. And that was like another catapult for me to understand that, okay, if I'm going from the macro all the way down to like the micro, right? So I'm starting with this diagnosis, and then I'm going into immune system, and then I'm going into the individual pieces of my body, which aren't individual. And then I'm going down into like mono and, viruses and that kind of stuff. And now I'm going down into stress. and then emotions. And I was like, oh, okay. So emotions are really what is the cause. And it can either heal you or make you sick. And that's really kind of the crux. Disease is just an imbalance. It's a signal that something is not right. And so but I kept that to myself for a long time because I did not know that emotional clearing was like the body code or the emotion code. I didn't hear about that until like 10 years later. And I didn't know there was a book. I'm like, oh my God, like I'm doing this. I didn't even know I'm doing this. This is kind of cool. And I started on my kids and my now husband, and I worked on them, and it was working. I even got into things like EFT tapping and all that kind of stuff. But going back to emotions, what I found was that really what I'm cultivating is a future version of me in the now. And if I continue to do that, it has to come to fruition because we're not really, we see us as this macro being, but we're really just microscopic, uh, a combination of these microscopic pieces. And so if we can manipulate these microscopic pieces, then we can heal. And so um, my symptoms started coming back when I got married, my first marriage. And I ended up in jail because my my ex arrested me because he was a cop. Long story, I won't get into that. But I'm sitting in my jail cell, um, doing yoga, and my lawyer walks up. He's like, "Are you doing yoga?" I'm like, "Yes, I don't know what else to do." She's like, "I'll be back," So I sat there and I'm like, I closed my eyes and I realize that I am creating my own stress or my own peace. And if I close my eyes, I can literally be anywhere I want right now. I can imagine anywhere I can be. Now, I have kids. They saw me get arrested. They were like 3 and 5 at the time. So I had been crying all night long, like for 14 hours straight. I had nothing left in me. And I was so worried about them and just everything. But I just thought if I could just sit here for just a moment before I go see this judge and just find a calm, peaceful moment, I'll be okay. And and then my thought was I could let this take me down, which is what my ex would want, or I can rise out of this and understand the point of all this. And that was a huge jumping point for me because I let it fuel me to not let it take me down, to help other people understand that you don't have to let these moments take you down. It's just a signal that you're in the wrong direction. So I took that moment. I didn't realize I was doing that at the time, right? It was just, there was so much stress and anxiety happening at the moment. But in doing that, in hindsight, it was like the greatest gift. All of it is all the greatest gift because I got to understand the human design of we are spiritual, emotional beings. We are not, I mean, we can go into the quantum physics of it all, but we're not really physical. We are literally, it's just a vessel. It just appears physical. And by shifting your um your reality and vision of where you want to be and your intentions, you can literally change the trajectory of your life.
I love that story. It's just I can see you being in that cell and just it's almost like you needed to be there to discover all this.
I did, for sure. Yes. And I felt alone a lot of times. I mean, all growing up, I knew I was different. My family's not into alternative medicine. It's not like I didn't have someone to guide me. And that was the hard part, which is why I'm trying to help people now. Is like, I didn't have that. We didn't have the internet. We didn't have, I mean, we had the internet, but we didn't have like a lot of the tools. We didn't have people to be like on the fringe of like, let's look at it this way. And so those moments were there for me to share with everyone else, like you're not alone. I sometimes it feels super alone. I'm sure like when you all first got diagnosed, it was like like the world stopped and your breath stopped and you oh my God, it's a death sentence, but it's not. It's literally it's a gift when you see it from a higher perspective.
Mm. And it takes time and it takes learning and experiencing and
Mhm.
believing.
Yeah. Yeah.
How are your symptoms now? Do you have any symptoms? Do you see doctors? Any of those things?
No. I stopped seeing doctors about 5 years ago, all doctors, except a dentist, but I refused to get x-rays and all that stuff. So the last doctor, like a traditional doctor I saw was probably 12 years ago, maybe something like that. Um, yeah, probably about that.
Became your own doctor.
Yeah. Yes, I had to because once I realized that, they're all paid. When you understand the history of medicine, the real medicine is plant medicine. And when you understand where conventional medicine comes from and why it was created, um, then you can kind of let go of the idea that doctors quite literally don't know a whole lot. They are, it's like your own beliefs until you wake up and see, well, why do I believe this? It's because my parents told me. So doctors are doing the same thing. They're being told what to teach and what to know. And a lot of them, I'm not going to say all, but a lot of them don't go and explore and question. They're just told, well, here's this one study and believe this one study and go by these rules. And, it's the same in any field. It's the same in any field. You can find a study to support any belief you have. So you have to go inside and have discernment and trust in the higher purpose so that you can channel in what you need because there is never one size fits all. Like I am not for everybody. Anyone. There is never a one size fits all. And it depends on the season you're in. So it could be the weather season, it could be your age, your stress, everything that's going on in your life. We all have seasons, and those seasons will dictate what you need right now. But that takes discernment. And if you go to a doctor and they just take your blood pressure and your pulse, and then they tell you you have high cholesterol, which that's another lie, um, then it's like, well, aren't you asking me how I eat, how I sleep, how I breathe, what my day to day looks like? Do I love my job? Do I poop every day? Like they're not asking the important questions. Um, and all of that matters. Your blood pressure might be just be high because you don't like white coats and you have white coat syndrome. So you have to have that discernment, but that discernment has to come from stillness. And that stillness, you are the only one that can allow yourself to become still enough to listen.
Mm. While you were talking about the doctors, this just came to my mind. Bruce Lipton, who was a
Mhm.
scientist, and he wrote the book, The Biology of Belief.
My
And
favorite book,
he,
one of them.
yeah,
Yep.
I love that book. He talks about how he actually became spiritual, and all these years he spent studying science and doing all these chemistry experiments. He realized that no, the mind, and even not even the mind, but something much deeper than our minds controls everything. So that was very interesting.
Yeah,
And thank you. You recommended me The Power of Eight, the
I
book
did.
that we are bringing into this community that I'm very excited about. Can you please share us more about the quantum leaping and all these concepts?
Yep. Karen's asking the name of the book. It's called Biology of Belief by Bruce Lipton.
Yes.
And so, The Power of Eight, Lynn McTaggart, uh, it actually started here in Chicago. She had a conference and she had a large group of people. I can't remember how many it was, 100, something like that. But she paired everyone up into groups of eight. And in the group of eight, one person stood in the middle while everyone else stood around that person. And the person in the middle said, like, I have cancer or I have this going on. And so everyone on the outside of the circle prayed with intention over the person in the center. And it was just, was it 10 minutes, I believe?
Yes.
Um, so for 10 minutes. And what she noticed was that the person in the center actually got better, but the people on the outside that did the intentive praying actually healed more than the person in the center. So, meaning that your intention and your ability to stow upon other people healing and belief that they can heal also heals you because we are all connected. We cannot be disconnected. So, like Karen, you're another version of me. Chrissy, you're another version of me. We're all another version of ourselves. And by connecting with positive intention, if we send out that energy of positive healing, it also bounces back to us. There's been so many studies done on doctors and going back to, I will come back to the book, but going back to the conventional doctor versus a holistic doctor, the conventional doctor, and these were studies done. I don't remember the author, but I can find it. Um, so they did a comparative study, and the conventional doctors would walk in, ask the client what the problem was, again, do the blood pressure and all that, walk out, come back with a prescription. Whereas the holistic doctor, actually, it was the same doctor, but coming in as the holistic doctor, would ask the client all these questions and, you know, have empathy and, not be wearing the white coat and show the person that, I believe in you, you can heal. And the results of that, from the client perspective, the client healed astronomically more just from the one visit of the doctor believing that they can heal. So it's that belief. It's that communal belief of I can heal you to heal me. And if I don't heal, I can't heal you. And I'm using the word heal as a very broad term of, like if you have a kid and you say, you can, you're going to do great on, your test or this competition you have. You can do this. And if you really, really believe, they will do well because you're giving them the energy of positive belief. And so that's what Lynn McTaggart was trying to show was just by you or the circle of eight praying over somebody, each of those people, everybody got healing because it was bouncing back and forth. I'm sure you've heard of, what you put out, you come back in threes. And that's basically what this is whatever you put out in the world comes back to you threefold. And so that's what happened with these studies, and she's been doing it for, oh God, 20 years now, maybe, I don't know, a long time. And it just keeps showing the same thing over and over. And I wish the conventional medical community would read this book because maybe they could take something from it. Um, but for the meantime, we have to have groups like this to help spread the message of if I heal you, you heal me. And it goes the same with, elaborating still on those studies between the conventional and holistic doctor. The doctors who actually show empathy and sympathy for their clients, they actually heal too. So it's not just a one-way street, it's always a two-way street. So if a doctor really believes in their patient healing, they also get healed with whatever it is that they need healing on.
Yes, I remember when my dad was diagnosed with cancer, and then my mom was telling me that the doctor he was seeing, he also has cancer. And I'm like, how that doctor is gonna heal my dad? Like, it's just so the ripple effect of I don't know why I brought up that story, but it just reminded me of that. It's so important, and I didn't realize up until I finished reading this book that that's what I've been doing personally. This is only my story that I've been trying to help others feel better, heal by sharing my story. Like, yes, we are all different. We didn't get here doing the same things. We got diagnosed because of whatever reason, but that that's the effect I'm feeling. Like I'm feeling better and better every day because I think it's coming back what I'm giving out. And now that
Exactly.
I know this, I'm doing it more intentionally. So that's amazing. I feel like.
Yes. Yes, that's exactly it. It's like, you could be in a completely dark room and you light one match and it lights up the whole room, right? So it's that concept of if you share your light, it gets spread infinitesimally, right? It just goes and goes and goes because if the next person shares their light, now we have, factorially, it's just going to keep growing and growing and growing, and you can't stop that momentum unless you choose to stop it. And all it takes is a kind word or a smile sometimes. Some people just, you're doing amazing. Like, oh, I'm proud of you. You've got this, and it doesn't even have to take 10 minutes of intention and prayer over somebody, which is still amazing. But even sometimes just a kind word to a stranger is all they needed that day to, I mean, some people it stops them from suicide or self-harm. So having the intention of healing the whole world has to start with you first. You have to heal yourself first or have the intention of healing yourself first, because while you're doing it, you're healing other people.
Yeah.
It's like you can't sit in meditation and have all these good vibes and then go out in traffic and cut people off and honk and like be a terror in
That
traffic.
used to be one me back in the days.
Well, there's a lot of that in Chicago, I promise. But
Oh,
anyways, so all you have to
um,
do is, just pray for them, and by prayer, I'm not religious. I just mean sending good energy to somebody.
you know what's the problem, or I don't even know if it's a problem, but my therapist was telling me I was complaining about something, and she was like, you know what's interesting? I've been listening to you for the last 10 minutes, and there was one negative comment in the group, whatever that situation was, and that's what you remember. But that's all of us. Like, we don't
Mhm.
take all the positive, we only remember the one negative. Like same with our diagnosis, like we hear all these things but we believe in the doctors, we believe in, like, it's the mind, how it works. Like, can you talk about more how to turn these negative thoughts off?
Yes. So I was just thinking of my husband and I have kind of like a little joke thing where he'll be like, "You're pretty weird," and I'm like, "I heard I'm pretty." You know what I mean? Like that's what I heard.
I love
Cool. Thank you, So, okay, so it's not something that likely will happen overnight. It can, but it starts with the intention and the awareness. You have to have the awareness. You have to hear your own thoughts because if you're not slowing down enough to hear your own thoughts, you're not going to know what you're saying to yourself or what you're taking in. First and foremost, and most people, take what I say, take it, leave it, whatever. You have to stop watching TV, all TV, none, because it is destroying everyone's minds. It's called programming for a reason. Okay. So now that that's out of the way, we have to kind of like push all that aside because that's literally just intense programming because your mind doesn't know, whether you close your eyes and visualize something or you're watching something on TV, your mind does not know if it's yours or not. It doesn't matter. Your mind will take that and translate it into your body. It's like watching a scary movie. Your body reacts, right? Your mind does not know the difference. So if you're watching programming, it doesn't matter what kind, if it's telling you to believe in something or getting you to react emotionally or physically, it's programming you. So if you can stop watching TV, I promise in a week you'll feel so much better and lighter. And then it's about slowing down to hear your own thoughts. I'm questioning everything, even question what I'm saying to you right now. Question everything. If you read something, if you hear something, question, do I truly believe that's the truth? Do I internally believe that's the truth? Because each and every one of you has the absolute truth deep down inside of you. Even if it's based on quantum physics. Okay, you might not understand quantum physics on a scientific level. Actually, nobody understands quantum physics, so it's fine. But if you can just sit and discern for a moment by just sitting silently and knowing what is your truth, it will start to guide you more and more into your truth. Now, so I'm going to back up just a minute. Everyone's truth is giving and receiving love, love, peace, and joy. That's everyone's truth. But we get misdirected. Okay. We shop too much. We drink alcohol. We watch TV. We get into arguments. We retract out of fear. That's all not your truth. None of that is your truth. Your truth is bright light. You are a light being. You are meant to show who you really are to the world, being authentic. And if you are retracting from fear or lashing out of anger, then you are off course. Okay, that is opposite of love. Love is love. It's unconditional. Okay. I wish we had other words because we say, I love pizza, I love my kids. You know what I mean? Like it's not the same thing. I mean, maybe to you, um, but if you're saying, I love you, but that's conditional. So you have to stop the noise, go inside and hear in your own head what feels true. And sometimes it's alarming. In the beginning, it can be alarming, like, my job. Absolutely don't like it. This is not resonating with me. But then a fear is going to come in and it's going to say, yeah, but you need the money and it's secure and you're already there. That's not love. That's not authentic. That is fear. Now, in reality, I understand, yes, there's some transitions that have to happen before you can just leave your job and go live you're down by the river, but um, to to come back to your own truth, you have to sit in silence, even if it's just 2 minutes in your car, in the shower, doing nothing but listening. You don't have to meditate. Some people just, you're not there yet, and that's totally okay. But coming back to your truth. Now, I got off topic because I was going somewhere with that. So, what was your question?
No, it reminds me of this is meditation, but you just really translate this to us in a way that we understand it. Like all you have to do is just sit in stillness. And that a lot of people call that meditation because it's yes. So no, that's the hardest thing. It's so hard not to constantly think about something.
Very hard. And it's okay. Thoughts, you can't empty your mind. That's not what your mind is for. Your mind is constantly your brain is literally an antenna. It's receiving information and then giving your body the information you need to transcribe that information into something. So, um, your brain, your subconscious senses things before you logically explain it. Okay. So I'm going to say your logic brain is literally, don't take this offensively because mine is too, but it's the dumbest thing on our body. Okay. It doesn't understand our true self because we've been, again, programmed to believe that we need logic. If you've ever been in a situation where the hair stood up on the back of your neck or your arm because something didn't feel right, or like something was about to happen, or you're about to get scared, but you had logically, you're like, yeah, but I'm fine. And you negate that intuition, every time you negate that intuition, you're suppressing it and you're trying to let logic reason for you. Logic is not smart. Logic is, it's for math. Okay. And unless you're doing math every day, you don't need it. So, um,
What
your
about
body is
what
what's
about when you get chills when you hear an amazing story?
yes. So that too. So that is all telling you something is trying to get your attention. And it's like your diagnosis. It's getting your attention, but because you never listened all the way leading up to that diagnosis, now you just got hit in the head. It was like, okay, you're not going to listen to what I'm trying to tell you? Fine. Here's your diagnosis. Every single one of us had that. You had signs leading up to it, and you just didn't listen. It was like someone's at your door, like kind of lightly tapping and then knocking harder and then banging and then bust the door down. You don't want to listen. Here you go. Now you have to listen. And that's basically what disease is. It's an imbalance. So now your subconscious is letting you know you haven't listened. Now you have to. You have to take this. You have to stop, right? It stopped your life when you got diagnosed. It stopped you. And if you didn't give it a chance to tell you what it needed to tell you, and you took medication or you went and, tried to logically figure it out, well, it's going to keep coming back. So in order to reverse all that, you have to sit in stillness. Again, even 2 minutes a day. And yes, I mean, it can be called, it's not traditional meditation like sitting in Om, right? You can just go walk in nature with nothing. Go hug a tree. Trees will literally listen to you. You can tell a tree anything. Just don't go to Joshua Tree and hug a cactus plant like I did once. Doesn't work out well. I didn't know. Anyways, so we will go hug trees. The tree will take your energy and you can ask it questions and it will tell you. I know that sounds pretty woo-woo, but it does work. Go sit in the grass and just lay there. I mean, sometimes, again, I'm in Chicago, so it's busy here. I will go lay in my grass in the middle of summer and just sprawled out on the grass and people driving by, I'm like, oh, whatever. Hopefully no one calls an ambulance because they think I'm out. But the 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 earth is there to absorb your energy. It's like the mountains, you give it your energy. The beach, you can take energy. So it's about that cycle of give and take. Give nature what you don't need and take from it what you need. In that stillness, you will find answers. You will have an inkling, an insight, and it'll be a flash. But then logic again is going to come in and be like, no, that's crazy. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Well, talking about programming, so the first time I hugged a tree, I actually waited for everybody on the path. It was in a hiking trail to leave so nobody sees me what I'm about to do. And I was hugging the tree and it felt so calming and relaxing. And my husband thought that I'm crazy. But anyway, uh, the next time I didn't care who is there. And it felt so good. Like was actually wanted them to see it and probably laugh at me at first. Maybe they would try it. So it's like you just have to try it and please come back and tell us how you like it.
Yes. It was funny because the first time I had my husband do it, he was like, oh, well, he saw me do it and he was like, whatever. And then the next time he tried it, now he's hugging trees all the time. Like, it's so great. They are very intelligent beings. Um, so fear is your greatest enemy, and fear is you not listening to what your inner intuition is telling you. And that inner intuition, your inner knowing, is connected to source. Now, I don't care what you call source, but everyone has a different name for it, but it's all the same thing. It's the collective consciousness. Because I said in the beginning, we are all connected. We are all just a different version of our own self. And when you know and can see that we are all connected to this collective consciousness, you can pull from those sources of what is right for you rather than what the programming has told you is right for you. So basically, you grew up with parents or caregivers that told you constantly, do it this way, do it this way, do it this way. It's only because that's what worked for them and what they were told. So now maybe those will work for you, but maybe they don't. And maybe you need to change that. Maybe it's your job now to change the programming that you had so that you can share your intuitive guidance with others. Um, so our connectedness, if I don't know if everyone's familiar with fascia, it's all when you get a chicken breast and it's got that white filmy sinewy thing, that's fascia. And that fascia is completely in our whole body. It's the biggest organ. Okay. It's more than skin. It is connecting everything to everything. That is how we are connected. We are connected. If you can just imagine a infinite amount of webs coming off of us, all connecting to everything and everyone on the planet. Nothing is a coincidence. It's all meant for you to be guided into a direction. But again, if you're not listening, if you are denying, if you are using only logic, you will get lost. If you are unhappy in any aspect of your life right now, ask yourself, what is this trying to teach me? And where do I go from here? What is this trying to teach me? And where do I go from here? And don't expect an answer, just wait for it to come to you. Again, it will be a tiny whisper. Your subconscious whispers to you once. And if you don't listen, then it'll knock you upside the head. Because it's not your ego is the one that's like right? It's like telling you all the past programmings that you've heard. It's going to keep yelling at you louder and louder. Subconscious does not do that. Your inner knowing does not do that. It whispers once. It waits for you to hear it. And the more you can do that, the more you will get these downloads or insights. They'll just keep coming to you. And all of a sudden you'll be like, oh my gosh, this is where I need to go. This is where I need to go. I just had a client, I just found out yesterday that she owns very successful salons. And working with her, found out she wants to actually run these like witchy retreats. And she just bought her place in Michigan, this like big cabin, and she sold one of her salons and she's doing it. And she's just so in alignment. She's like, oh my God, I'm like so excited for her because this is like, and she's in her mid 50s. So it's never, ever, ever too late to really understand your goal of what your purpose is here. So I want to go kind of full circle to explain how to change your reality from a visual point of view. Um, reality is, well, reality is not real. Okay, what you're seeing is not real, but we can jump timelines. So I want you to, if you're good at visualizing, imagine yourself as a tiny, tiny TV screen in the middle of a giant bubble. It's a big, giant ball surrounding you. Any direction you look, the bubble is there, but the bubble is composed of trillions of other tiny, tiny TV screens that are all you. Now, the one you're looking at right now, so you're in the bubble and you're looking straight ahead and you see the tiny TV screen of you in this reality right now. And it's everything that you're experiencing right now. Now, maybe the version of you that you really want to be on another TV screen is all the way behind you. It's a possibility to jump that way, but you might need to make all these tiny TV movements, right? All these little tiny movements to move in that direction. Now, maybe your TV screen's not that far off that you want to see the reality of. So it's about making these micro movements, but knowing what you want. You have to know what channel you want to see. So I'm going right back to TV again, but you have to know what channel you want to be on, what it looks like, what it's showing you in order to get there. If you have no idea what you want, how are you going to get there? So getting to that new reality, you have to sit, know what you want, and hear what your intuition is telling you. Maybe what you want is coming from logic and from ego, then that's not really what you want. Your truest, deepest desire is in there. You just maybe need to listen a little deeper so that you can change the channel and go into that one screen that you really want to see for yourself. I hope that makes sense.
I was just thinking about intuition and how important is intuition. And then once you start believing and trusting and looking for synchronicities, then when your true belief kind of like escalates to a level where you can see the changes, feel the changes, and be the change.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. So I can answer questions or if you have another, you can do anything. Let's see. Okay, what did Pam say? Pam said, what if you've tried to open your heart and mind, even doing things that seem woo-woo, like laying in grass, hugging trees, and you are kind of just stuck, almost like you're trying hard to be open-minded and open-hearted, but nothing has changed. So if you're like forcing, right? Imagine if you're in the river, in a river that's got a good flow. If you're trying to swim upstream because you're trying to get that one branch that's behind you or upstream from you, but there's a million other branches downstream, you have to kind of just go with the flow. I was stuck in this too, Pam, for a little bit, like trying to force it. I had a checklist, like I'd meditate, I'd do this, that, but was I really doing it? No, it was a checklist for me because that's what a lot of us type A's do is like we like the checklist and like I did it. I did it. Like that ego wants to know, oh, I did it. Um, so it's more about think about in childhood what you absolutely loved doing. Absolutely, like time would just not be existent. And for me, it was different things like being in the grass or doing Lincoln logs or, whatever. What was it about that that you loved? And try to bring some more of that back in. I don't mean like go play Lincoln Logs, but maybe it was just like building something with your hands or connecting with other people, something that time ceases to exist when you're doing it. You need to do that more because that puts you in flow state, and that flow state is what you need to let go of the expectation because expectation is what will kill the joy. If we don't have joy in what we're doing, then we're, again, on the wrong path. I hope that helps, Pam. As soon as I feel symptoms, I'm constantly feeling fear, and that fear is not going away since I'm having symptoms. Do you have any tips? What can I do to get my mind off the fear? Okay, that's a great question. So if you're feeling symptoms and all of a sudden that fear creeps in, there's two ways to look at this, and you can try both. One is, what are the symptoms trying to tell me? Just ask your cells. You should be talking to your body and your water. You can infuse your water. We could talk about that if we have time, but ask your body, what is this symptom trying to tell me? Every symptom has an emotional connection. So, like a headache is typically migraines are pressure from the outside world. Knee pain is being stubborn. So, symptoms have a reason for being there. Again, it's a guidepost. But um, the other thing you can do is sit with it and be okay with it. Sometimes that is the peace you need. Just come to peace with that pain. And a lot of times you'll just suddenly feel it just kind of disappear. It's like it needs acknowledgement because that pain, again, is coming ultimately from ego, from being misguided in life. Sit with it, become friends with it. And sometimes it's hard to do, but if you can, like, let's say, I don't know what your symptoms are. Okay, numbness or tingling. So if you get tingling in, let's say, your arm, just sit with it and observe it as if you were somebody else and just notice it. You can talk to it and say, okay, I feel you. I see you. What message do you have for me? And if it's not going to, likely not going to say anything the first time this happens, but keep doing it because I promise you, you will get answers. You'll be like, oh, oh my God, I just got an answer. And again, your logic might kick in and be like, but was that really an answer? Yes, it's an answer. Again, your subconscious knows everything about you. It knows every answer. You just have to listen. I hope that helped.
I was about to add that sometimes when I have like those type of symptoms, numbness, tingling, I I do the same that you just described, but I also like, can you tell me what should I do?
Mhm.
What should I do next? Maybe just drink a glass of water. Like what's like I pause and just ask that question and something pops in my mind, like take magnesium or something that the first instinct, I always, the first thing that comes to your mind, that's what I've been trying to teach that to my husband. It's super hard because he's questioning every single thing. He's on mind. He's questioning his own mind. So the first thing that's always so true. It's
Great point. Yes. And if you, I'm sure you've all heard of Dr. Masaru Emoto with the snowflake experiment. If you haven't, check that out on YouTube. It's everywhere. It's Masaru Emoto, last name Emoto. He does this snowflake experiment, but um, Veda Austin, she's also on YouTube, Veda Austin, Veda Austin, she elaborated on that experiment and she does water experiment. We're about 80% water, 78.3 if you want to be exact, we should be. Um, Water holds frequency. Okay. And so that means that any part of your body, even your bone, anything you take in that is any kind of substance has some amount of water in it. And then obviously water is all water. It can be programmed with a frequency. So that means that if you take a glass of water, and I highly suggest you do this every morning, it should be room temperature water, and you just speak into it, I love you, and then drink it. It will change the frequency of the water, and then your body is receiving that frequencyed water. So simple, so quick. There's no technology involved. You are the technology. You are technology. You are electromagnetic. So I was just talking about this with my husband the other day. I'm like, we are electromagnetic. So whatever you are consuming, like all the five senses, seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, it's a magnet. And so the more you consume it, the more your cells resonate with it because it's made of water and magnetism. Oh my gosh, I can't talk. It's magnetism. And so it will continue to change your cells to that vibration if you continue to keep taking it in. So again, that's why I say stop watching TV. All TV, movies, everything. None. Until you can reprogram yourself to watch it from a point of this is just entertainment and it's not going to affect me. I can barely watch TV at all because I know how it affects me because I'm so sensitive to my own vibration.
I'm the same way. I stopped watching TV, but going back, it was so hard because oh, the questions like, then I won't fit in. If I'm going to do all these things differently that everybody is doing, then I'm not going to fit in. Like, for example, silly thing, we're going to go out for dinner and everybody's going to talk about this new show or what's happening in the politics. Like, I have no answers or not, I cannot jump in the conversation because I don't know anything about that. And nobody's
Good.
interested talking about my spiritual awakeness, So it's so hard to kind of like, which way should I go?
Right. Well, and that's the part that feels very lonely. It did for me because I didn't fit in with anybody, especially because I was like at that time just the odd one out always in my family in every situation. I lost all my friends because I didn't resonate with them. But now, because I've stepped into my own light and my own authenticity, I have amazing friends and we all talk about the things that matter. We don't talk about weather, politics, or TV. We talk about everything else. And so it can feel lonely, but good. I mean, be the odd one because there's likely someone out there for you that wants to be odd with you. And I call odd, but I call it normal really. Just that fear of not stepping forward is what's going to continue to keep you stuck in the symptom cycle.
Hmm. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here and
Yeah,
sharing all this. And if you never heard any of these concepts before, it was new to me like 2 3 years ago. I did not believe half of the things that I'm sorry you told us today
I
like
know.
3 years ago. But it's just be open-minded and maybe do a little bit of research, reading. Thank you for being in the group. Hopefully, you're going to join our healing circle. That's what I call our group of 8 to 12 people meditating together. So, yes, it's tested it out, tried it out, and let's see if you hear it second, third time, that's a message that you need to explore.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah, and don't be afraid to explore. I mean, you either take it or leave it. Like I said, even my information, don't believe me. Go search for yourself. I mean, I've been doing this for 25 years. Um, but so I had to find out myself. I had to, find my own evidence of it to be true. And your truth Might be slightly different, might be totally different, might be the same. It's okay. It's all okay. It's your truth, and you have to believe in your own truth, and that's what will set you free. Having your own truth is what will set you free. Any other questions?
All right.
I
Thank
guess I did such a good job of explaining.
I think
Okay.
everybody's thinking right now.
Walking is therapy. Leg pain and spasticity, which sometimes prevents me from walking. Why would something I enjoy so much be prevented by my symptom of spasticity? Okay, so that's a really great question, Pam. It is, it's not the fact that you're doing something you enjoy and then it's being prevented. It is the fact that you haven't dealt with something that you still have to deal with emotionally or mentally that is creating the leg pain because it's still trying to tell you something. So, an artist might lose an arm, okay? And they'll be like, "Oh my God, I lost an arm. How am I supposed to do the one thing that I love in life?" You have to understand why it happened, and then you will find a way to work around it, and then you will heal. So it's not like this or that. It's your spasticity is still trying to tell you something. There's still a layer. So when we're talking about the physical body, it's the last piece in the puzzle because we have all these other energetic layers around us, different ones. Those move faster than the speed of light, but our physical body does not. It's slower. So in order to enact a physical change, we have to continue to work on those other layers so that the energy of our physical cells will eventually change and catch up to reflect what we are feeling on the inside. I hope that helps, but it's still just remember it's when you're having any kind of physical issue, it's a reflection of something you still need to work on.
And once you figure that out, I believe me, you're gonna feel so empowered and so grateful and I can't even find words to describe. Like you're gonna feel like you are a superhuman almost.
Exactly. Exactly. So true. You will feel superhuman. You will feel like, oh my God, I got it. And then you will keep doing it because when you get it once, you'll just keep seeking to do it over and over. And then that's how you heal. And then you will heal other people. You are all here because you are healers too.